All right. What is going on, everybody? Happy Thirsty Thursday. How are we doing out there? Lots of stocks are ripping this morning. NVDA, one of the key players, pushing the market higher, up to new all-time highs, touching $190 here in pre-market trading. We can see here on the book map how critical this area is. 190 has about 379. Well, actually, it just went up. 550,000 shares stacked up right there as sellers start to establish at some of these levels. It actually just touched that 190 point and went right through it. So seeing some good bullish activity here on the first couple of candles with NVIDIA. Let's go. What a good continuation there at open. I'm sure a lot of you guys have been following NVIDIA this morning, though. It's been one of the bigger players out there keeping SPY up. Been a lot of the Mag 7 up, though, today. Every single one closed up green except for Microsoft, which is down 0.37%. But everything else looks good. Tesla ran up to 480, slowed down a little bit, though, here at open. They did have a nice push, though, pre-market as well. Well above yesterday's high. Too bad they didn't do that at open. That would have been beautiful. Either way, though, they are on the radar. If you guys didn't know why they are pushing like this, yes, they had delivery numbers. Yep, Tesla reported deliveries this morning. Let's pull it up. They reported 497,000 vehicle deliveries. Better than the FactSet estimate. Although some people were expecting over 500,000. It just depends who you asked. But FactSet was expecting them to report 447,000. So ended up beating it by about 50,000 there. Pretty solid. Deliveries were up 7% over the prior year. Nice. Yeah, so last year they reported 462,000 deliveries. If it would have came in at the FactSet estimate, it would have actually came in less than the prior year. So that's good to see. Good numbers there. It says there was a continuing sales slump in Europe. That's not good. Of course, yeah. They don't like Musk because of the political stuff. Hey, it makes sense, right? It makes sense. Looking at Tesla's stock here, it is moving down a little bit to 466. Trying to find some support. In pre-market, it did bounce close to this range. Pretty close, I would say. Go gold, Corbin said. What's up, Corbin? Good morning, good morning. Go find some cool cars today. $358.70 coming up. GLD technically made a new all-time high this morning. By just a little bit, but they did. Xavier said AES is selling off. The AES Corp pulling back to 1480 now. Looking at that daily chart. That's totally fine. You'll have to have some patience with AES. Let's go ahead and look at Intel. It's a very similar setup here. Note how Intel gapped up, but then they had 3 consolidation days before running higher. That's kind of what I expect for AES. A period of consolidation, kind of like what I'm pointing to. And then a subsequent larger move higher. How is everybody doing, though, this morning? Hopefully pretty good out there with the way the market had ran. That's a good gap up with the SPY. Look at that pre-market action there. That was really solid. The entire pre-market was moving great. Corbin said, go GLD. Yeah, gold has been a pretty hot market lately, of course. You know what else is moving quite a lot today is Tilray. Whoa. Tilray's up 10% plus. Tilray at the top of our watch list here. Up with APLD, Applied Digital. Another great move by APLD, moving it well above 25 into today. BABA and Baidu, the China stocks, moving quite a lot, especially at open. BABA, nice pop higher. Baidu, good jump as well. QQQ's giving it up, Juan said. I'm looking for some China news out there. QQQ, slight pullback. Yeah, it is pulling back from open. How's SPY doing? Also pulling back slightly. As we're settling in here a little bit, we are seeing some pullback come in. How's Apple? Ooh, Apple's pretty straight down here. Apple's pulling through support. I'm going through the Mag 7, just looking through for some possible negativity out there. Amazon, Apple, Tesla, NVDA all decided to pull back at the same time, applying pressure to SPY. Of course, NVIDIA being the highest weighted. It is feeling pretty better today. Still a little rough, but definitely better than before. I think the weather, the cold air is getting to me a little bit. What can be causing the pullback? It could just be natural volatility. I'm not seeing any news right off the bat that would necessarily have me looking at a huge pullback here. Tesla deliveries seemed to go pretty well. It initially ran higher and then pulled back. Besant said GDP could take a hit from the government shutdown. That could be a possible headline. Treasury Secretary Besant saying that the U.S. GDP could take a hit from a government shutdown. That's pretty insane to say, though, that NVIDIA just broke above 190 this morning for the first time ever. That was a pretty big headline, too. Intel? Did I just see some Intel news? Zero Hedge just posted about it. Not sure if that's a new development or off of yesterday. Let's maybe turn on the volume here, see if we start to see an uptick or not. Where's a good bounce range on the QQQ and SPY? Jake said, what cold air? The 70s? It's been getting down to like the 50s here at night. Well, close to it. Sometimes. It just depends what day you look at. But I messed up too much with Tesla, the power of bots said. Just be careful with it. Be wary. Tesla did pull back today, probably. Wow, that's a pretty crazy pullback there, 464. Right through key support. Look at that sell-off, guys. Was there something more negative about these delivery numbers that, are more in between the lines, not necessarily the headlines? Stellantis was moving this morning. They're looking to sell their car sharing business, free to move. Sounds good. Anything to get it up, right? Hopefully they're selling off some unprofitable portions of their business. Good morning, Demure. Yeah, it's a big pullback, isn't it? Juan asked about SPY and QQQ. Where could we bounce? Looking at the QQQ, I really like this range around 603.80 to 604, right where it is, actually. It's almost filling the gap. You could almost say 603.50. How's SPY? Yeah, I like SPY closer to 668.50 to 668. It just broke through 669, which was a pretty good pre-market area as well, and pretty much the high from yesterday, so it got under that. Yeah, I'm watching the gap, really. 668.50. Mr. Charles says, buy the rumor, sell the news. On Tesla? Might be the case today. Pretty massive pullback there. I'm going to go ahead and look through the Tesla article a little bit closer here. I know that they talked a lot about negative European sales. Continuing sales slump in Europe. Of course, Elon and his political rhetoric is what they're contributing to that. Keep in mind that Tesla's been moving up not necessarily because of their electric vehicles. They've been moving up a lot lately because of Optimus. Yes, Tesla's new robots, the humanoid robots. You guys know Optimus, right? I'm gonna pull a picture up here. These robots are kind of neat sometimes. Here we go. I'm trying to find a good picture, one that's a good resolution for you guys. Here we go. Here it is. It looks like it's packing up battery cells or something close to that. Appears to be. I'm not quite sure what the robot's handling here, but nonetheless, this is what they look like. They are pretty advanced, I must say, from what I've witnessed here. I think it'll be extremely interesting to see what these robots end up doing. I do get worried that we'll have an iRobot scenario one day, but all right, Tessie starting to get some green candles coming back into play. Demir says it's going for a V-shaped recovery. It's starting to look like one's playing out here a bit on SPY. Let's go check Tesla. There we go. Starting to come up with the SPY a bit. How's NVDA? Doesn't look quite as much like a good V as the SPY or Tesla does, but was going to lose well over 100 on Tesla, thankfully coming back up. Good thing I waited, the power bot said. Sometimes you have to get through some volatility like that. Just be careful holding too long in case you get into scenarios where it doesn't come back for you. That's where people get hurt. What does the book map look like on Tesla? Let's go see. Low of days close to 454. Here's the book map right now. There's not as many buyers stacked up as at 450 as I would have personally thought. I'm not seeing anything too clear on the book map here. 455 did bounce a few minutes ago, and we are seeing buyers restack there, so that is one key metric to look at. 455 does seem to be an area where we could see another bounce. Jack Black said, Tom, is there a gap on Moderna chart July 31st to August 1st on the daily? July 31st to August 1st. Let's go see. Moderna. Oh. Yeah, there is a gap on the chart. I see what you're saying there. Yeah, there is a definite gap. Yep. Moderna reported earnings, and I believe that they dropped off those days. And let me go look. Yeah, Moderna reported earnings in pre-market on August 1st, and it caused the stock to drop. And so it appeared that there's a gap on the daily chart because daily charts do not show pre-market or after hours movement at all. So that's something that's a pretty big deal. Hang on one second, guys. Give me just a couple minutes. All right. Sorry about that, guys. Had to answer a question very, very quickly there. Yeah, look at Moderna here. Moderna's in a pretty crazy spot the past couple trading days. I'm still watching them very closely. Same with Pfizer. These two stocks could get very interesting here. I know that they already had some good pops the past couple trading days, but I do think that we could see a broader uptrend start to come in, especially with Moderna. You know, it's in a pretty good lower range. Now, I will say there's a chance that Moderna continues to chop around in this lower range. And in that scenario, you're going to have to be ready to hold for a little bit. So I would say, you know, erring on the side of more time here if you were to play Moderna or one of these healthcare stocks would be the way to go, unless you're just simply going for a scalp. You know, if you're scalping, then yeah, sure, you know, we can do that just about any time. But I just wanted to say that because I do think that there could be a chance that it does end up chopping around in this lower range. And if that is the case, I just want you to be ready and be prepared, just so that you know, have an idea and are actually ready for if it does do that, because I don't want you to, buy into options into some of these healthcare stocks up here at this resistance and then get super flustered if it starts to fall back to like 25 or 23 to test support again. That could be something that happens, and it probably will happen. And, it might not be too bad of an idea to average in if you really wanted to. You could scale in a little bit, especially some longer term contracts. Maybe get a couple up here at the top as it dips, get a couple more if it does touch support. And again, don't over leverage. Make sure that you plan it out correctly for you, but it is a really good lower range. Intel has been doing this move recently where they've been finally getting out of their lower range. We've been waiting forever on Intel. Waiting forever, but it finally got out of this lower range and doing really well here in the short term. Love to see it. It's almost up. Well, you know what? It is up 100% pretty much from its low. Let's go plot it up. I think it is 100%. Yep. Over 100%. But I realize you probably aren't averaging at the low there at like 17 something. That would be quite the buy, I would say, but Lucid's been doing well post-split, low-key. Let's see. LCID coming, oh wow, pretty much straight up, yeah, from that split. Had 2 red days following it, or 3, I guess, if you count the day of, but then right back up here. Not bad, 24.55. Big money plays over now. That's a solid move higher. It's been pretty straight up too, Mason. Like, it hasn't really had too many red days or pullbacks mixed in on this overall uptrend. How's Rivian doing? They were trending up from August, but they just had a big pullback the past couple days. Wow. Down 6%. That's a rough one for them. Look at this crazy trend that Rivian's been in here. This is wild how many times they bounced off this trend, and they recently did it again. What's going on with the SPY, Mr. Charles said. SPY going all over the place today. Nice uptrend in pre-market, but nice downtrend from open here. SPY is getting extremely choppy. Almost looks like it's entering the chop zone right now. This is quite the chop over the past few minutes. Pretty insane up and down action. Anyone following AMPX? AmpX. Been a little while since somebody's mentioned that one. Amprius. Looking at the daily, it has been on fire. Well, it probably did break out this morning. Let me triple check. Go to the hourly chart. Make sure. Oh, you know what? I was glad I went and checked. It didn't technically break the high because there was a previous pre-market high that did go up a little higher to 1250. What a run. It does seem like, though, this is a big resistance here on AMPX, so be a little aware of that. Be aware. TSLA pulling back like crazy. Let's go look at the Thinkorswim news really fast. TSLA. Why is Tesla moving down so much? Let's see. It is a pretty rough pullback. That's a pretty big jump, though. Jump and then pop by Tesla. Or jump and then drop, I should say. The better way to say it would be pop and drop, right? But everybody's trying to figure out, like, why is Tesla falling here? Really, I mean, falling European sales sounds bad. And increased competition along with the EV tax credit expiring. All three of those things sound a bit rough, but I don't think it warrants a big drop like this, but hey, you know, the market's the market. Buy the rumor, sell the news. Taking profits is BS, Aller says. That's funny. The way I see it, I think Tesla was due for a pullback, Demir said. Yeah, you know, it was kind of due. It was. It was very high in the short term, and if we're being realistic, this pullback isn't that bad. Okay, it's not that bad, considering how much Tesla ripped the past couple days. If it even holds here at 450 or 451, that would be great. That would be awesome. You just answered it? There we go, Goose. Yeah, I really like that 450 to 451 range, though. That's going to be a big level there. Good morning, AMD. What a turnaround, Mr. Wu says. Mr. Wu, how are you doing today? Hope you're having a good week. Yeah, that is quite the turnaround. 3.2% back to the upside here. That was a good one. Now that's a V-shaped recovery. That's how you see a V-shaped recovery right there. Bitcoin, Mr. Wu says. Let's see. BTC USD. Bitcoin, check out the daily chart of Bitcoin here, guys. Wow, it is up a lot. It's only up 0.8% today, but it's up to almost 120,000 a coin. What a jump there. Wow. That's a nice breakout. Mr. Wu loves it. BTTC. There actually is one of those. Titan Pharmaceuticals. Wow. What is up with this one? I've never heard of Titan Pharmaceuticals, Mr. Wu. At first, I thought you were typing Bitcoin wrong. That's funny. What's the news with this one? Let's see. BTTC. Oh, wow, there's something wild going on with this one. Quotation resumption, new issue available. Wow, okay. Weird, I'll have to do some research on this one later. BTTC. I'll write that down. Look at SPY here in the consolidation zone, guys. Wow, it is like stuck. See if SPY can get out of the chop zone or not. SPY is like Iron Condor heaven. Yeah, it is right now. Yep. How's MSTR doing, Goose asked? MicroStrat, or just Strategy. I keep forgetting that they changed their name. It's just Strategy. RGTI, oh boy. Let's see, Rigetti. Whoa. When you said, oh boy, I was a bit worried. It's up 11%. It might be at the top of our watch list. It is. It's beating Navitas by 0.1%. NVDA has a nice pop of its own going. $8.10, starting to move pretty well. Wow, we're starting to see some great movement out there, guys. Keep your eyes on the growth stocks. These stocks are starting to move. Watch QUBT, QBTS. These stocks are following along with the action right now. Lunar, LUNR. Ooh, they had a bad intraday drop. Maybe not Lunar. At least Joby looks pretty good on the intraday pullback for a possible dip buy. LUNR just had like a straight down move, though, a minute ago. That was weird. Still great and at the top of our watch list, but that was a stark turnaround there. ASTS is not having that turnaround, though. They still actually look really solid as they're breaking above 60 and holding above it for now. 5.78%, getting some good directional action. There we go. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Beyond Meat ended up falling down a lot recently. Did you guys see this drop off the other day? They fell from like $2.83 down to like lows of $1.24, down like 56% at lows in one day. Pretty brutal. I think they're doing an offering. Let me check again here. Maybe convert, maybe some senior notes. No, they are doing an offering. 9.6 million shares of common stock. Yep. Pretty bad, pretty bad action there. Reminds me of a tattoo chef that failed, not going to touch Beyond Meat, Jake said. I know a lot of people are questionable of Beyond Meat, and I am too, honestly. You can eat whatever you want, right? Personally, I would rather eat a real steak or a burger or something like that. If anything, with this Tesla pullback, I'm excited for some zero DTE options. Zero DTEs. Oh no, Demure, be careful. Be careful tomorrow. Mike C said, you and Mike should do a masterclass together for options. We actually do have a pretty awesome class out there called the Advanced Options course, Mike. Now, Mike made this one personally, but Mike gets very advanced and goes over all of his advanced strategies in it. Mason said, get ready to go to bed early. That's right, he has to wake up super early, doesn't he? How was that on the West Coast, Mason? Was that a pain? Midwest has the best time for everything. I know, it's like the perfect middle ground. Like, let's just say the market closes, you know, around 3 o'clock. It's a bit earlier than the East Coast being 4. You know, it gives you more time, etc. But then again, it's not as bad as the West Coast in the morning either. You know, you got to get up an hour early, or, you know, well, an hour earlier than the East Coast, I guess. But nonetheless, it's okay. A lot better than 6 a.m. when the market opens on the West Coast, that's for certain. Worst case scenario is going to Hawaii, Demir said. Oh no. That would be rough. I never thought about that one. Let's look that up. What time does the stock market open in Hawaii? That's where I'm going on my honeymoon. Oh, wow. During standard time, it opens up at 4:30 a.m. And during daylight savings time, it opens up at 3:30 a.m. Oh, wow. Yeah, that one would be brutal. Yeah, 4:30, 3:30. Mason goes, I would not be here today if I lived there. It would take some dedication, that's for sure. The best thing to do would just be to stay up all night long. No, I'm just kidding. You'd be like a bat sleeping through the day. Or a vampire. Palantir, 183 support here, starting to bounce back up. That was a pretty good bounce off of Palantir. Now it's back right in the middle of the range. SPY had that good breakdown down and out of the wedge, but now it's consolidating like crazy just at 668.50 here, our next support. Right where the gap filled today. These gap fill zones like to act as supports a lot. Fire in the silence and darkness or night, it would be easy to focus, Juan said. That is true. It would be an easy time to focus. I'd give it that. I'll definitely give it that. Let's go check on some of these growth stocks that had some better price action here, like Rigetti, up 13% now. Every time I look at it, it's up another like 2%. QBTS, QUBT, still sitting around their highs of the day. QUBT is actually testing their high right now. Hell yeah, Jack. I would love the weather. And I'm sure that there's some arguments for it being better over there too. You know, maybe some people like it better where they get up early and then, you know, the market closes and then they still have all day to do stuff. It's really not that bad of a gig. Tilray, big pullback. Now only up 2%. It was up 10% at the high of this morning. Pulled all the way back down. Strategy got very choppy. Unfortunately, not moving as much with Bitcoin as I would have thought. Bitcoin had that really nice movement here the past few days. Strategy was attempting to come back. If we go to MSTR's daily chart, you can see it has been pretty straight up after that massive drop-off last week. That was a crazy sell-off that came into play. That is just my Thinkorswim watch list, Steve. But Thinkorswim does have scanners on their watch list too. You can do scanners and all types of different things. Thinkorswim has a lot of different options out there. Go check Oxy pulling back here. Oxy's down a lot today, guys. Damn. 5.7%. What happened? Wow. I think I saw some headlines in pre-market here. Berkshire Hathaway agreed to acquire its OxyChem business for $9.7 billion, all cash deal. Capital One adjust their price target to 56 from 52. That's not bad. That's crazy. Berkshire Hathaway is going to acquire this business from them. That's pretty good, I guess. That's kind of insane. The stock is really getting crushed from it, though. It popped up in pre-market a bit, but has died off at open. Occidental Petroleum CEO said, "Our shareholders are very happy with our portfolio and happy with our performance. The problem has been getting our debt down faster." Occidental's acquisitions of Anadarko Petroleum, and Crown Rock in 2019 and 2024, respectively, saddled the company with debt. Occidental plans to use $6.5 billion in proceeds from the Berkshire deal to pay down debt. Achieving its target level of principal debt below $15 billion. This move will, in quote, unlock our stock and allow shareholders to feel more comfortable, hopefully, to add to their positions and others to come in. Well, it didn't help as much today. I guess we'll see how it goes over the next few days and few weeks. You know, it does seem like that on this broader uptrend by Oxy, they do have these strange periods where they just have these crazy drops for a few days, and then they come roaring right back. Today looks just like a couple of those previous drops in June and July. So I'll be watching this one close. You know, it's a pretty interesting setup nonetheless. Can you trade BTC and Thinkorswim now? I believe so. Yep. Yes, it does. Most do, I've seen, so. I haven't personally bought it on Schwab or Thinkorswim, but see you later, Demure. Have a great one. Have a great one. We got 2 days left this week. I just wanted to let you guys know to be aware that give me 1 second, guys. Give me 1 second here. Can you talk about app, please, Yvonne said. Hey, Yvonne, I want to say, am I saying your name the wrong way? I've been wondering that the past couple days. I'm sure I am. It's Yvonne, yes. Yep. I thought I was. I thought so. Figured I would triple check. I think we even talked about that in the past, but that was a long time ago. Any thoughts on USAR, Garrison said. Let's see. USAR, US Rare Earths. Wow. I haven't looked at this one much, but it is on fire. I actually really like it. It's up 11%. It might not continue up with this type of momentum. Generally, you know, after it has a few days like this, it will slow down a little bit, but I love the way it's moving. I love the way it's breaking out to new highs. And also, there's just been a lot of hype with rare earths lately. You know, literally being called USA Rare Earths Incorporated. That's a pretty big name, especially for the hype and everything going on right now. So I personally like it quite a bit. A lot of momentum right now. Again, though, that doesn't mean that you should just be buying shares up here and trying to swing it. There might need to be a smarter strategy, like waiting for a dip. But nonetheless, I love the momentum, and especially for short-term stuff, it is on fire right now. On fire. But yeah, Yvonne said, can you check out App Lovin'? Yeah, unfortunately, App Lovin' pulled back a lot today. It had been ripping recently, though, but I thought that this pullback was pretty warranted. I thought it was a nice pullback, especially under that $700 mark. That was a big level to break down at. Mike's been talking about this one a little bit on some of the nightly videos, I believe. So continue to watch it. It's, you know, it's been on fire a lot recently, but it's getting to that point of being a little bit overextended where, you know, we're kind of waiting for a bit of a pullback on it. And we're starting to see that hit play out today, actually. That was a good breakdown and pullback at that $700 mark. That was beautiful. Go back to Rigetti. How are we doing? More new highs of the day, guys. Rigetti is now up 19%. Every time I switch back to it, Rigetti's up again. %19.9%, about to touch the 20% mark here. About to touch 20%. QBTS, 12% on the day. Quantum is running right now. Yeah, Yvonne, I would probably start to take profits here. I wouldn't hold too long. I'd be looking for profits. All right, sorry about that, guys. Had some quick sneezes there. Sorry about that. Trim or sell it all, Yvonne said. It'd be pretty hard for me not to sell it all where it is right now. Tesla's cooked, Power of Bot said. TSLA, how are we looking? Oh yeah, big pullback there, down to 452. 450's coming up. Watch 450 support. 450 is going to be critical on Tesla. Do you think they can rebound back? App Lovin' it always has a chance to rebound back, but I think that where we are now, we're pretty solid. Do you think I should just accept the tough loss or wait another couple of hours? You have waited so long now that I don't know if it's even worth waiting or selling here. Again, I don't know your exact position, how much you're down, how big your account is compared to your position. I mean, there's so much that goes into it. It's hard to just say like a one-off statement like that and give you the information that would be, good enough. But I would generally say right now, it seems to be approaching the 450 support. I would probably try to let it bounce off of 450 at this point if you could. If it's too much risk, then it's too much risk. I wouldn't blow up your account for it, because what if it doesn't bounce at 450, right? What if it doesn't? But the risk needs to be okay. But I would try to let it bounce at 450. QQQ coming back well up to 605. 605.30, starting to test again. I like the way it's testing this resistance. It's not bad. It bounced there a little bit in pre-market trading. Jason said Rigetti at a 52-week high. That's new all-time highs by Rigetti. Oh, yeah. Up and out. See if Tessie starts to try to bounce here. It's getting pretty close to 450 at this point. Pull up Mag 7 setup real fast. See how they're all going. Amazon had that steep drop off at open. They're almost back to break even now. Microsoft is forming a base. Let's go look at MSFT. That's actually a good base starting to form. It's bouncing pretty well. There's a pretty clear intraday trend line here on Microsoft as well, starting to break to the upside a bit. Interesting by Microsoft. Very interesting setup. I don't love it overall, but it does seem to be powering higher, and it's breaking the downtrend up, which is a good bullish sign. We'll have to see if this ends up playing out pretty well. I'm sure there's a lot of people trying to get bullish on it off of this dip, trying to dip by it. Maybe some of you guys even are, but it's interesting for sure. I always just try to look at any setup I find. JOBY. Joby up 7.5%. VKTX Viking Therapeutics. It's been a while since I've looked at them. Watch Joby though. Tons of momentum at open. 7.5%. Good news hitting there. Or sorry, not good news. Good movement. Good movement. I don't want to miss talk there. I'm not sure. I do need to see that though. Let's go see Joby. Is there any news? No, nothing. Unfortunately, nothing today. Yvonne said, is Rigetti worth the chase? Let's see, RGTI. Emmanuel, how are you? Looking for good stocks to invest your app loving profits into. I see what you're saying. No, I don't think I would chase it at that much. I would be worried that this one turns over on you, Yvonne. You'll probably catch it and be able to hit on it for a little while, though. I don't think I would hold on too long, though. Run before they issue stock for cash flow requirements. They're out of cash. Oh, that would be something that would probably hurt them a little bit. I could see them end up doing some type of offering or something. That would be something that would not be very uncommon. We see that happen with these stocks when they rip like that. I was about to say, let's check the banks today. Bank of America down a little bit again. Wells Fargo, a little red. JP Morgan starting to turn over. We're starting to see some pullbacks here. It's pullback city. Wow, wow, wow. Pretty crazy. I just wanted to show you guys or tell you guys something. Wanted to tell you guys about tomorrow. I will not be going live tomorrow morning. I have something to do for my father tomorrow, so I will not be able to go live tomorrow morning. But I will be live Monday, of course. Of course, of course. Hello, great greetings from Mexico. Just wondering if it's a good moment to start selling VKTX. Do you own some shares? Are you starting to sell shares, or are you trying to short it? Are you trying to sell the shares or short? Let me know. See a big gap down on VKTX's chart here. Started to touch this lower support range around $23. And I'll tell you what, the support seems to be holding up pretty well right now. Pretty darn well. Sell your shares. You bought around 24. Nice. Okay. Wow. VKTX is in a very weird position right here. I've got to ask you a question, though, because I need you to answer something for me in order to give you the right answer. Whenever we look at VKTX, it is on very critical resistance. It's very close anyways. Are you comfortable holding till it gets back to break even? And like, let's just say that you do get back to break even on your shares. Are you okay just letting it go and not having an L and just saying, hey, you know, I'm okay with holding for a larger gain? Or are you wanting to take profits here on this $4 move from 24 to 28 or $3 move from 24 to 27? If you want to, you can attempt to scale out right here. Maybe sell half of your shares, lock them in, and then maybe hold the second half. You know, if you lock in half here, it'll allow you to hold at least to the bottom support range of, 23 again. Now, if that starts to break down, you can sell out and you'd still have a profit because of your first half that you sold for, you know what, $3 a share profit. On the second half, you might only lose $1 a share or something. So you can think about it that way. That's probably what I would lean towards doing if I were you, would be scaling out in that way. But you're going to just have to ultimately ask yourself the question is, okay, am I okay taking the risk and holding this for longer, or do I want to exit here? I think it wouldn't be a bad idea to exit here. VKTX is a wild stock. It's one that has lots of weird gap ups, gap downs, and especially with that weird gap down recently, I am a bit fearful that it tries to go for a secondary move down to maybe 20 or something, and that would be pretty negative for your shares holding those. So I'm definitely leaning more towards either scaling out here or selling myself. I think there could be much better opportunities as time goes forward from this. CRWV is reversing to 100 shares at 132. Time to sell, Yvonne asked. You have 100 shares at 132. CoreWeave did just gap up and does look pretty solid. I like the way the CoreWeave is setting up. CoreWeave could end up running a bit more here. I actually like the overall setup here, and I'll draw out this trend line that makes me pretty excited with CoreWeave as well. You know, it's starting to get back above that. It didn't really stay on that overall downtrend, which is good. Lately, it's been trying to pop back, and we've been seeing chip stocks generally do well. I will say this, though, you know, you do have contention with resistance here at 142, and if it starts to rip under 132 to 130, I'd probably look to sell out and re-enter somewhere along the road. Mason said SPY. PowerBot said, whoa, SPY, another sell-off, guys. SPY just sold off again, down under 668.50, under 668 now even. Wow. We are seeing quite the pullback out of SPY today. It gapped up this morning, made a new all-time high, and from open, totally reversed. Totally reversed. If you guys check out the Trading Stream Limited channel, if you're a free member in the Discord, or if you're a paid member in the trading floor, you can check out pullbacks or high-risk breakouts this morning. I made a little SPY post. SPY's ripping to the upside, push past 670, so be ready for a continuation. But I said, sometimes there are pullbacks at open. Following these large pre-market moves like this, just have the possibility in your mind and be ready. That was part of the statement this morning. Definitely had some fear of this possibly coming into play, especially after that big rip. You know, we see that happen a lot with SPY, where it'll have a crazy pre-market move and then it'll end up doing the opposite at open. Unfortunately, that's happening today if you're a bull. Fortunately, though, I guess if you're someone that's adapted to the downside, you're probably pretty happy. Don't forget, tomorrow we were supposed to have some economic data releasing, the non-farm payrolls and the unemployment rate, but we might not be getting it now. It has the BLS, Bureau for Labor Statistics. A lot of the workers who get this data are unfortunately going to be furloughed or already are furloughed as the government shut down. As these branches of government, or not branches, but programs, I should say, they have certain contingency plans on what they're going to do in the event of a shutdown and how many of them are going to be for load, different sections maybe, etc. With a lot of the data collection people, they are not considered essential and are, well, they just say bye-bye. I know it's a bit strange, but I wouldn't even know how any of that works. How they're exactly told, you know, it'd be interesting. I wonder if they like just get an email at midnight that says, hey, you know, you are now for load until further notice, or... Mark and Heather said, can you check out the Serve chart? You're in for a swing trade. Serve Robotics. Seems like if it can hold the 12-ish area, potential for a good run-up. I like the way it bounced here around 11.25, 11.30. Did have a good bounce here in the short term, I gotta say. Now, something that I'm looking for with Serve is I'm not really looking for a huge uptrend here where it gets all the way back to 15. With Serve, I'm really watching it back to like a next major resistance around $13. That's going to be kind of what I watch for. Maybe even more like $12.75 to 13. Let's go to the hourly. Yeah, that $12.75 area lines up very well with resistance. I'm going to be watching that for a potential touch and hit back down. Somewhere, like I said, $12.75 to 13. I don't love the way that this one pulled back recently. I think it shows a lot of negativity on the overall uptrend. I could be wrong, but I just don't love this one for a breakout past, 15 here. It's not the most bullish setup in my eyes, especially with how it pulled back recently. Now, if we go forward and it just starts ripping through 13 like butter, then I think we might need to adjust our outlook, but... Power Bot said check on Tesla. Tessie pullback down to 452. Pretty large area of support. 450 coming up just under that. Watch 450, guys. 450 is going to be critical. I'm watching for Tesla to have a bounce somewhere around 450 or 452. It could possibly continue down even more than that, but this has been a wild morning considering how much it swung to the upside and then back down with the delivery numbers. From the high to the low, that's a 5.7% pullback. That is a pretty large drop overall. And again, the delivery data was not that bad. Deliveries came in at 497,000. That's a lot better than FactSet's estimate of 447,000. That kills it. 7%. They were up over 7% year over year. Dusty, I think you'll need to look at a lot more of the bot plays and maybe not just like one specific one. He said, why does the bots on the high risk breakout calls out stocks that are past the current price? I mean, that probably was the current price like when it got called out, right? There's little timestamps next to the messages so that you can tell the exact time, you might need to go plot the option and see what it was at that current time. If you're talking about the strike price, the reason why it would call out a $30 strike price would be just to take advantage of more volatility if it were to move higher in the ultra short term. If you're wondering why the strikes are out of the money rather than in the money. Hope that answers your question. Just P said, yeah, I'm essential. Just glad I have this to try and supplement my paycheck. That's the plan anyway. What do you do, Just P? So you're a government employee? It's probably a wild time for you, if that's the case. What's the CBP for those of us that don't know, Just P? Iceman says Oklo up to 125, 6%. Good run by Oklo. They're coming back. Wow. Oh, Customs and Borders Protection. Oh, wow. I see now. That's pretty cool. How do you like it, Just P? They said been hell of a roller coaster the past few years. Oh, gosh. I'm sure. There's been a lot of stuff going on with that side of things, that's for sure. Oklo 125. Nice pop up, Iceman. I will say the 125 seems to be acting as pretty solid resistance. Pretty solid resistance here. Go see LVS, CVS. Emmanuel says Archer, ACHR. Am I saying your name right, Emmanuel? Is it Emmanuel or Emmanuel? Just want to make sure. I'll be looking it up after this. Archer Aviation's been pretty nice today, up 3.7%. I would say I liked Joby's price action a bit better earlier. They were up 6.2%, but ACHR pretty solid as well. Still pretty consistent today overall. Nice, okay, the first one. ACHR, $10.30, 4.13% today. The setup is pretty solid, though. You know, it's actually just rebroke the high of the day recently, but started consolidating. And, you know, it seems like it's at that point where it wants to try to go for a real breakout and push past up to a new high of the day, which would be beautiful for Archer. Continuing the run. Joby's consolidating and is starting to touch a next support. That'll be nice if we could see a good bounce here back up. Be watching that one very close. Intel's flirting with the high of the day, Sir Charles says. INTC. Very nice action there. I like to see it running up as much as it is. 36.40. Nice resistance. It's good to see it up a little bit, especially after the recent pullback that happened. I'm glad to see it get that action back yesterday and continue on well again today. Up to new recent highs. The stock has had a lot going on recently. I mean, there's almost too many things to name. I think Oracle took a stake. The US government took a stake. NVDA took a stake. Now they came to AMD exploring about their foundry business. I think they reached out to TSM as well. It's so much going on. It's kind of crazy, actually. TAN has been busy, Sir Charles said. TAN, the solar ETF. Wow, very nice action off of that April dip. How much is TAN up from the April lows? It's not 100%, but it's pretty solid. Up around 80% right now on TAN from the April lows. That's a nice jump. TAN, the Invesco Solar ETF. Yvonne got stopped out of Intel last week. Is it a good buy now? You got stopped out of Intel? No. It went on fire last week. I personally feel like you're getting in a little too high. It's about to touch a major resistance on the daily around 37. Now, I'm not saying that it can't rip past this, okay? Intel's in such a good spot that it could easily rip past 37 and explode into the heavens, okay? There's a lot going on. They're changing a lot of things, and they're starting to have a lot of great optimistic news. Some serious optimistic news, too. Like approaching AMD as a foundry for them and different things. Like, wow, like that's huge. So, for those of you that don't know what that means, it essentially means that Intel will be making AMD's chips for them. Or some of them, right? That's essentially what they mean by that. I think it's personally a bit high, Yvonne, so I would hold off. X, Y, and Z. Huge double bottom right there. For those of you who don't know, it's called block. This is the old Square. You guys remember Square, right? The little payment processing thing you'd plug into your phone and swipe credit cards on and stuff. They still have them, of course, but different name of the business now, Block. Your stop was too tight? Gotcha, gotcha. It's good to have stops, but you'll find a strategy that allows you to play the plays that you need to play and play them in the correct way, Yvonne. It might take a little bit of time messing around with stop losses and a few different strategies, but you'll get there. You'll get there. How's Adobe? Little comeback action. Check on Pfizer. Oh man, Pfizer did not continue, unfortunately. I would have loved to have seen Pfizer pop off like that again. Yvonne says, so often I don't sell early enough just to see my profit disappear. Yeah, I mean, you need to have a clear target, you know. You got to have some targets in mind, but at the same time, you also have to listen to what the market's doing. You know, sometimes stocks might not quite get to your target, and then you're like, okay, well, I want to hit $500 profit here. I'm holding till my target, and then the market turns over, and then you end up, you know, taking an L on it. Now, there will be times where, like, if you're identifying an uptrend, like, let's just, you know, now this is a very one-off example, okay? But let's just say that you're watching the SPY uptrend today. You know, SPY's moving well. It's uptrending in pre-market, moving very, very well. Let's say that you bought in right here to follow the uptrend, right? But you were targeting, let's say, 671.50. You know, it never quite got there, right? But once it started to break back under 670, which we could identify as a pretty solid intraday resistance, once that started to give out, that would have been a good indication to go ahead and cut. You might have actually even been able to get out with just a little bit of profit there. Now, it'll happen like that in other scenarios too, where maybe it played out differently. Maybe it started ripping here, didn't quite hit your target, chopped around, double topped, and then started moving. Well, that double top would maybe be your indication, okay, we need to sell. You know, even though it's not quite to your target, you might need to look at that double top and go, okay, you know, it might be a better idea to sell rather than to, you know, bag hold it. Now, what's going to happen, though, is, now this is trading psychology here. You're going to eventually have situations where you're going to sell, and then you're, like let's just say it double tops. You're going to sell here, but then it's going to go all the way up to here. It'll look like a fake double top and then explode more. And then you'll be like, well, Tom, how do I hold longer? Like, you can't have everything. You know, you're going to have give and take on anything you do. You're never going to be perfect. That's the big deal. Realizing that you're never going to be that perfect is the biggest thing to look at. It'll never be perfect. That's what a lot of people don't realize. Most people would want to, they would want to short SPY right here and open at the top and then get out perfectly down here at the bottom. Where in reality, the better traders out there aren't doing that. They're probably finding something in between here and trading something quicker and something more consistent possibly than going for like a super large overall move like that. But of course, there's a lot of ways to think about, you know, ways to sell and different strategies. But I was hoping that helps a little bit because there's a lot that goes into the thinking of trading, and it takes a lot of hard conversations with yourself and even in your own mind to, you know, realize some of these things. Let's go back to the Mag 7 setup here. Whoa, Microsoft, what happened? Guys, Microsoft just sold off into... Wow, look at that. It broke down under key support and said, see you later. Wow, down down to 511 just about. Let's see what the news is here. I'm not seeing any news that's necessarily super negative here against this. Just a big sell-off intraday, 516.80. Maybe there's some news out there on X or something that I'm missing, but... You know, Yvonne, it's so subjective. Like, the questions that you're asking are so subjective because it matters what stock you're trading. how the options are on said stock, how volatile the stock is, how large your accounts are. You know, even like your strategies, like what type of trader are you? Are you day trading? Are you swinging? Are you trading for 5 minutes? Are you trading for an hour? Are you trading for 15 minutes? Are you trying to catch a quick like $1 move on Microsoft, or are you trying to catch a quick $1 move on something like Tilray, which would be a totally different ball game? You know, there's so much that goes in, you know, so much. And again, with swings, is it supposed to be a short-term, like 1-day swing? Is it supposed to be like a 5-day swing? Are you planning on swinging it for a year? I mean, it's again like it's each one of those is gonna have different targets, different things you're looking at. I know what you're saying. They said not options, just cash. Gotcha. So just cash straight up with shares. That makes it easier. That makes it easier, I guess. In that case, I would try to find good ranges and good support and resistance. You know, like if we're looking at Intel, you know, Intel was trading in a huge range, right? Intel was trading in a range. What this allows you to do is trade within the range. Whenever Intel gets to the bottom of the range, you long it. Whenever it gets to the top of the range, you short it. That would be one style of a swing trade that I think would be a very nice one for you to try and find, Yvonne, that might help you out, where you find a bit of consistency there. And what this will also allow you to do is snipe the lower ends of the range, so that if there is a sell-off, you get out very quickly and you don't end up incurring a large loss, so to say. You check Tesla bouncing off that 450 resistance. Yeah, oh, support actually, yeah. Yep. It just bounced off 450 support. There we go. There we go, there we go. That was a good bounce by Tesla there. See the book map at 450. Just wiped out the sellers, or the buyers that were stacked up there. How's Coinbase looking? Could we see it back up to 458, possibly to 460, or is that too far? With Tessie, of course. 458 to 460, let's see. I do not think that that's too far away. I think that it could get there if we start to see a true intraday, like, hold at this support. But it's going to have to be a good hold, though. You know, and so far, it's actually bouncing pretty well. I would call this a good hold so far, too. Yeah, I could see 458 to 460. Yep. There is some resistance around 457.50 as well that I'm a bit worried about, but most of the resistance is closer to that 458 to 460 range, which I'm glad that you said 458 to 460 because it's a really good range. There's been a lot of bounces around 458 and even a lot at 460 too. So I like that range that you're saying there. Mark and Heather said Intel's breaking up again. Very nice action by Intel. New intraday highs. Wow, Intel, let's get it. Wow, that is a fire move. Let's see the 1 minute on it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was pretty wild. There was a weird situation this year where Intel's new CEO, Lip-Bu Tan, Trump did not want him as Intel's CEO and pretty much was on Truth Social saying to fire him and all of these things. And then Lip-Bu Tan ended up meeting with Trump. That was wild. Trump was like literally on Truth Social calling for his firing and said it was unconditional that he stepped down, and ended up being all right, I guess, for now. But he had some ties to some China, some stuff in China. I'm not quite sure. My memory doesn't serve me good on that one, but somehow I had Chinese ties. Can't remember the specifics on the ties, but SPY's nearing today's lows, Jason said. SPY. Go back to that intraday chart on the 1 minute. Oh yeah, right back down. We'll see if the base starts to hold up or not. So far, these bases have been giving out all morning, but it does seem like this one wants to attempt a hold. But alrighty, guys, we're probably going to call the stream there. I appreciate you guys joining up today. William says, what do you think of Hood? Just got a put position. You got some puts on Robinhood? Let's see. It is right on resistance, but it's up overall in the day 2.5% and does seem to have more of an uptrend on the day. The one good piece of news with Robinhood for you is that there's a couple of key areas of resistance here. The first one right around this 142.80 to 143 zone. That will be critical. If it rejects here for you, I think you're in prime position. Now, one negative would be if it comes up to retest the next resistance, you know, are you going to exit really quickly here and then re-enter? Or are you going to hold until that resistance up here breaks? That's my big question, because that's a big level up here. We could see it reject again if that were to happen, but hopefully it just rejects here for you and you're solid. But I actually don't mind the put play here. I bet some people are like, that's crazy. Well, I don't think it's that crazy. I like that you're getting in at resistance, and I feel like the lower end could test again, which would give you a good, fairly good intraday scalp there. All right, guys, thank you for being here, though. Seriously, you guys make the community what it is. We cannot thank you enough for joining up and keeping everything going. Thank you for joining up to this, the live Q&As, coming to all the nightly videos as well. I see some of the comments. I see you guys out there. keep on learning. You know, if you're a newer trader, my biggest piece of advice would just say, hey, things take time. You know, it takes a while to learn everything that there is with trading. It takes time even to just get used to watching charts and charting. Even that alone takes a lot of time. Don't be afraid to spend time on YouTube watching a lot of videos. You know, there's lots of resources and information out there. Investopedia is your best friend, one of the best websites for learning things in the market. But let's go. Don't forget, no live stream tomorrow morning. I have a personal family matter to attend to for my father who had passed away. So I appreciate you guys for understanding. Sorry, I will not be live tomorrow, but it is something pretty important. Other than that, I appreciate you guys, and let's have a fantastic rest of the week. We have about a day and a half left of trading. Let's go.